Good morning. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching the F&O Show on BloombergQuint Live, India's first digital live streaming business news service. I'm Navneet Saluja D'Souza.
Good morning, Navneet. I'm Agam Vakil. Let's take a look at the headlines. Indian markets open with moderate gains. The Nifty fights to hold the 12,200 mark. Media index is the only sectoral laggard. Open interest is up in JSPL and Sun TV. JSPL sees fresh long positions while Sun TV sees fresh shorts. The TRAI's new tariff order caps pricing on pay channels. Sun TV, Zee TV and their networks trade with losses post the order. And steel stocks are trading with gains after JP Morgan note expects further price hikes in the next 2 months among domestic steel players.
Okay, and those are your top headlines at this side. Let's quickly tell you what's happening with the markets after yesterday's tepid session where participation was muted. There is more action, of course, coming in. Today is also Thursday, so you have the weekly options expiry for indices like Nifty and Nifty Bank. So Nifty has reclaimed the mark of 12,200 and we are looking at a range of about 12,150 to about 12,250 on the upside, at least for today's expiry. Sensex also sitting with gains of about 100 points. Nifty Bank inching higher. The support for Nifty Bank is placed at about 32,000, which it did defended in yesterday's trade as well. For broader markets, which have been outperforming since yesterday and last few days as well, both mid-cap and the small-cap indices are off to positive start. The market breadth has been looking good. For the entire listed universe, as you can see on your screen, it's almost 2:1 in favor of the advances. Pull up India VIX as well, which cooled off yesterday. It's cooled off further, I guess, or it's just about flat, though these are very comfortable levels, at least for the bulls, if there is any sort of fresh buying which is to come in the markets. But quickly, in terms of sectoral indices, as Agam already highlighted in the headlines, it is the steel stock. So Nifty Metals Index is your top sectoral gainer. That's seen gains of about 1.3%. And of course, we'll be watching out for the auto pack as well as the monthly sales numbers come by. Very quickly then, on the option side, what activity are we monitoring in terms of maximum open interest? It is still placed at the 12,300 and this is for today's expiry, that 12,300 call, and on the put side it is at the 12,200 strike. But we are seeing fresh call writing at the 12,250 call, which is so far added about 12.3 lakh shares. So watch out, that could be the resistance, at least for today's trading session, though overall we are watching out for 12,300 on the upside, while on the put side there is fresh writing which is coming at the 12,200. So let's see whether the closing comes above that. So far, looking at the action, it looks like 12,200 to about 12,250 is something which we can watch out for, Agam.
Okay, let's talk about stocks then, which may also be in focus on account of change in open interest today, possibly towards the gains. Let's pull that list out and see where we are seeing traction. Now, we've spoken about SAIL and JSPL naturally because of a lot of notes suggesting, and not just JP Morgan, off late, a lot of notes suggesting an improvement in the sector. Sun TV is, of course, under pressure. That's where we've seen about 11% increase in open interest. Just Dial is now starting to wilt under pressure. And just a day or two ago, we've had a handful of technical analysts suggesting that there's always a possibility of Just Dial veering towards the mark of 550, and that it seems like it's on the cards right now. CESC is the other one, which is also, well, not seeing a lot of traction in the spot, but it's seeing an 8% increase in open interest. Moving on, in terms of stocks which are seeing unwinding, not too much to speak for except for Torrent Pharma, which is looking at a decline around 1%. Save for that, not an overall, well, day where we are seeing too much unwinding. Of course, it's also to do with the fact that we are earlier on in the series, Navneet.
Oh, yep, and I think it's just about the metal space today. So on the show, we will be discussing specifically the steel companies which are buzzing in trade. So be it Steel Authority, SAIL, that is JSPL, JSW Steel or Tata Steel, all of them are gaining. We'll ask our experts which can be the best bet at current levels. And from the non-ferrous space, you've got NMDC, which is at 52-week high. Now, the stock had gained 33% last year. And Sun TV has reacted negatively. It's down about 4% after tries. A new tariff order will impact the broadcasters and distribution platforms such as Sun TV.
Okay, time to get in our experts for today then. We have Ashish Chaturmota of Sanctum Wealth joining us and Nilesh Jain of Anand Rathi, who is also with us here on the show. Good morning to both of you and thanks for taking the time out. Of course, before I move on, here's a reminder that if you have any queries regarding futures and options markets, you can call us on 022454044141, or of course, write to us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube with the AskPQ hashtag. But on to our experts then. Ashish, good morning to you. Where are we seeing indices from here on? They've held on to, while there has been a little bit of volatility, but largely sideways movement. What's the way forward?
Good morning, Agam. So I think there's a sideways trend because of obviously the holiday seasons going on, and I think 12,150 is going to act as a very important support for the market. Yes, on an immediate short-term basis, 12,300 is where the call writing is being witnessed, but we expect this to shift upwards. Maybe once we see a sustainable move about 12,250 to 260 area, you might see there will be a clear shift taking place from 12,300 calls to maybe 12,400 or even 12,500 area. So what we believe is that this is a bound ups market, and ideally 12,150 to 200 is a good area to be on the long side of the trade. Keep 12,150 below as in stop loss for any long trade, and expecting index to see 12,300, 350 in a very short term time frame.
Okay, so Ashish is expecting that we could cross that major resistance that the market has been facing on Nifty 11,300, and he suggests to buy on dips. You can place your stop loss at 12,150. Hi Nilesh, good morning. Are you taking any fresh trade today, considering it is the weekly options expiry day?
Good morning, Navneet. Good morning, Agam. If taking the point forward what Ashish has mentioned, the overall structure looks positive, and at current level one can go long. Because if you look at the derivative setup, we are witnessing continuous put writing at 12,200, 12,150. Although we have major hurdle at 12,250 and 12,300, but I think from expiry point of view, today's expiry we are expecting the range of 12,220 to 12,250. From positional perspective, I think we might see Nifty moving or inching towards the levels of 12,300. That is the immediate target that we are expecting, and one can keep a strict stop loss below 12,150 for all the long position and remain long. On the higher side, going forward, we might see Nifty breaking 12,300 and moving towards 12,400 as well. So for Nifty, one should buy on dip, or I think at current level as well, one can go long. And as far as Bank Nifty is concerned, it is oscillating in the range of 32,000 to 32,500. So the range is very much intact. If at all you see any dip towards 32,100, then again one can initiate a fresh long position. We are expecting immediate target in the Bank Nifty of 32,400 followed by 32,500.
Okay, so Nilesh is also looking positively towards the markets. That's a consensus from both our experts. But let's talk about stocks then. And Ashish, what's looking good to you today?
Yeah, so I think first stock would be Muthoot Finance, which is consistently making all-time highs, and we have seen a very strong rollovers in the last 2-3 series in both these gold finance companies, Muthoot and Manappuram. So I think Muthoot Finance could be initiated as a buy idea. 755 would be my trading stop loss. 800 is the immediate short-term target I'm expecting in Muthoot Finance. Cement space is seeing some buzz, and there we are seeing Shree Cement seeing a consistent build-up of position. So one can initiate a long year. 20,400 would be my trading stop loss. On upside, 21,500 is a target one can expect in Shree Cement. And metals, Tata Steel is showing some traction. So here there can be a good short covering. 474 would be my trading stop loss for an upside target of 495.
Okay, so those are a couple of calls coming in from Ashish. Shree Cement future is liquid?
So I think liquidity is a little concern, but I think in terms of both quality as well as in terms of the build-up, I think Shree Cement it looks much better than the other players.
Okay, so he's betting on Shree Cement within the cement pack. Nilesh, what about you in terms of individual stock futures for the day?
Well, all by recommendation. Starting with the cement space, I think the overall structure looks positive. Ultratech cement would be my preferred pick from the overall cement space. If you look at the structure, it has provided classic symmetrical triangle pattern breakout on a daily chart in today's trading session. One can go long at current level in the futures and keep a strict stop loss below 4,080. Upside, we are expecting target price of 4,250. My second buy recommendation is on Adani Port, where again we have witnessed it has provided breakout from its downward sloping channel, And at current level, again, one can go long in the futures, keep a strict stop loss below 374. Upside target we are expecting is of 390. And just want to add one more counter which has shown strength in today's trading session, that is LNT, and also provided breakout and also surpassed its previous swing high which it made in the previous month. So at current level, one can go long in LNT as well with a strict stop loss below 1300. Upside target could be 1360 to 1380.
Okay, so well, on that note, I'm going to start off with a handful of stocks we want to address, and I'm going to start off with Sun TV. Well, Sun TV and Zee TV both are under a tad bit of pressure. I believe we have a query on Zee, so I'm going to come to that one later. Let's take a look at Sun now. Of course, it's clearly really under pressure because of the impacts of TRAI's new tariff order on bouquet channels and a la carte channels. It's down around 3 and 3.5% right now. There's a 12% increase in open interest, and always been in a very volatile counter, Sun TV, currently at 424. Ashish, what would you do with this? What's the way forward here?
So I think this was broadly a negative structure, both Zee and Sun TV for a very, very long time, and irrespective of the market rallies, we have not witnessed this stock showing any traction. So that itself was a very negative sign for these stocks, and I think in today's move they have given some breakdown both these names. So maybe Sun TV can see a move towards 400 kind of area, and maybe another 4-5% drop in Zee could not be ruled out even from current levels. Right. Only point is one need to be very strict about the stop loss. One is keeping for any kind of short position. So I think 434 is a stop loss for Sun TV, and as far as Zee is concerned, 296 is a short term stop loss for any kind of short positions in these names.
Okay, so that's about your media players. Both are down today, Zee and Sun TV, and steel stocks are buzzing. So Ashish has already given his pick, I think, within that space. He likes Tata Steel. He says that he expects more short covering and if the space continues to move higher. Of course, there is news of price hike, and however, since last 2 months, these companies have been hiking price. And remember, commodities as a play did not work out that much in 2019. So let's see if demand kicks back. Steel companies, cement companies also could be beneficiary of that. So Nilesh, I'll come to you. Within the steel pack, of course, I'm leaving out Tata Steel because Ashish has already given a call on that one. At current levels, is there any company where you would recommend, going long, be it Jindal Steel, JSW, Steel Authority?
Well, Amit, yes, we are positive in overall metal space. I think Vedanta is my preferred pick along with Tata Steel, since Tata Steel has already been covered. I think Vedanta could be one pick which could outperform in overall metal space. It is making high top, high bottom on the daily chart, and it is on the verge of a major breakout. The breakout level is placed at 160. The moment it breaks above that, we might see a rally towards 180 to 190 as well. So at current level as well, one can initiate a long position and wait for some sort of a profit booking to add fresh longs. It's sort of a buy on dip kind of a counter. On the downside, the stop loss for the long position should be placed below 148.
Okay, so there you have it. That's the view coming in on a handful of those. But let's also address one more company from the metal space, and that's NMDC. Now, NMDC, of course, has been also doing well at a fresh 52-week high. Fresh long seen up 33% in 2019. It's not always that we speak about metal companies, but, well, of course, NMDC is one of those which has done reasonably well and also outperformed the markets. Up 1% today. There's an increase in open interest as well. Ashish, would you want to come in on this one?
Yes, so Agam, NMDC is one stock which is structurally showing a very strong traction, and this is not for a day or two, but it has been observed that in last couple of few weeks it has been consistently showing a build-up. After a long time, we have seen a massive OI addition in the stock, and I think this trend looks like to continue. I think on upside 145, 150 is what positionally one can expect in NMDC, and I think the way this breakout has happened closer to around 115, 116, there is a strong support. But I think since traders will look for some kind of short-term trading opportunity, so for that I think 125 should be the stop loss for going long into NMDC. 140, 145 could be an immediate short-term target in the stock.
Okay, so NMDC at 52-week high, looking good on the chart. So let me close the loop around the metal space. Ashish, I'll come back to you. We've got a query coming in from Ravi Shankar, and he wants views on Hindalco for the January series. So how's Hindalco looking on the charts? Can this also move higher from current levels?
So Navneet, at least the stock has started forming a good base, and I think the momentum will start once the stock crosses 222. So once that happens, I think the move can extend towards 235, 236 area, but the trigger point here would be 222. Once that happens, I think this move can trigger. If he's holding on to the long position, the ideal stop loss would be around 213. Keep the stock with that stop loss, and once the 222 marks gets crossed over, he can even average on to the long positions.
Okay, and from there on, we move on to questions from our viewers. We have the first one from F&O student. An F&O student wants to go short on Colgate-Palmolive at current levels, that too. Let's pull that up. Let's see where it's currently trading at. 1460, a relatively slower moving stock, I must say, and but not without challenges, of course. And we all know that there's been a little bit of a halt in a lot of these FMCG companies of late. On a one-month basis, it's not done too much. Nilesh, would you want to come in on Colgate-Palmolive? And more importantly, do you think it's a good idea to sell Colgate-Palmolive?
Well, Agam, it's not a good idea to short at current level because if you look at the overall structure, it is in the consolidation mode from past 2 months. And I think the major support which has placed at 1440, 1440, the moment it breaks below that, then one might think of going short in this particular counter. At current level, if you look at the overall indicators and oscillators are indicating oversold sort of territory, and it is rebounding from those levels. So at current level, I would suggest better to avoid going short and wait for the confirmation which will come below 1440.
Okay, that's the view on Colgate, but the auto pack is also in focus considering the monthly sales numbers. Pull up the intraday chart of Bajaj Auto. We got the numbers, I think, a while back where the December sales have fallen about 3%, and post the numbers coming in, we did see some bit of course, selling coming by. The stock's right now down about 0.5%. We've got a query also in Bajaj Auto from Abhijit. He wants views if somebody is long on January futures of Bajaj Auto. Technically, I think the stock's been down every day this week, and with the fall that we've seen this week, the stock has also slipped below its simple 50-day moving average. On the future side, there are signs of shorting, not just today. As I mentioned, throughout this week, we've seen some fresh shorts coming in for this stock. Ashish, looking at the charts, it slipped below the 50 DMA. If somebody's already long here, what would you advise them to do?
I think 3100 is a very crucial mark. Till it doesn't break, I think it is into a consolidation phase and might you might see a lot of support coming around 3100. If that happens, I think again the stock might move towards 3220, 3240 area. So I think if it's on the long side, keep 3100 as a stop loss for holding on to the long positions.
Okay, that's Bajaj Auto for you. And from there on, we move on to a question on Zee Entertainment. We've discussed this with Ashish. He has suggested to go short with the stop loss at around 296, if I'm not mistaken. But let's take Nilesh's view on this one as well. Nilesh, if you can come in on Zee Entertainment. We have Harshvardhan, who is specifically looking to buy the 280 put option. Or in fact, let me make a correction that he's already bought the 280 put option at 13.3. It's currently at 12. What's your view here?
Well, looking at the price action, this is a third consecutive sessions where we have seen a downtick in this particular counter. Although it has a major support level which is placed at 265, 270 kind of zone, there might be possibility going forward it may break below that. But from current level, we might see a bounce back. And if at all it bounces back, then one might initiate a fresh short position. If he's already bought a put, I think he should remain put in this particular counter. We might see a downtick towards 270, 265.
Okay, well, it's all about the commodities today. Ashish gave a call on Shree Cement, pull up that stock. Nilesh gave a call on Ultratech Cement. Both the stocks, by the way, are doing pretty well. Shree Cement is now up about 2%, and pull up the chart of Ultratech as well. That's up 3%. Now, the other stocks too have started to inch higher. Pull up Ambuja Cement as well, and let's see how ACC is also doing. Ramco also, I feel, has inched higher in trade. Look at that. Ambuja is up nearly 4% in trade. And remember, these are the laggards of last year. We've not seen any performance coming in from any of these cement companies, at least in terms of stock price movement. And there was an overhang. The volume growth was muted in the last 2 quarters. Ramco Cement also up about 2.5%. Revisit your call. Ashish, because the other stocks are also started to move higher, would you take a bet on ACC, Ambuja, Ramco as well?
So it's still I would stick to
Shree
Shree
Cement.
Cement because I think there is still 400-500 points kind of up move which one can expect in Shree Cement. But definitely we are seeing some traction in names like ACC and Ambuja as well. So ACC has given this breakout on the weekly chart. So I think this move can extend towards 1510, 1520 mark, and I think for that one need to keep 1465 as a trading stop loss for going long into ACC. I think one stock which is showing a very strong traction within the metal basket is Tata Steel. Almost 8-9% kind of Y addition has been built up. So I think here one can see a decent 4 to 5% kind of rally from current levels.
Okay, well, we'll move on to another question on the Nifty, and this is to do with today's expiry specifically. We have a question from Venkat Sai. He says that he has bought the 12,200 put at 15 for today's expiry, and he just wants to know a view here. Well, it seems that he is losing out because it's currently at 8 and he's bought the premium. Nilesh, any likelihood of a correction in today's day of trade with respect to today's expiry? Would you advise the viewer to book a loss or hold on to this position?
Well, Agam, as I mentioned, we are slightly positive for the day. And the range that I mentioned, Nifty expiry is 12,220 to 12,250. Given the fact that it's expiry, we might see some sort of volatility. We may see Nifty inching towards 12,200 as well. So that point of time, if at all he get his buy price, I think he should exit from his position. And on the downside, 12,200 is acting as a major support level in an intraday as well. So I think he should look to exit from this position.
Okay, look to exit from the position is the advice coming in. And for all our viewers who have queries on the non-F&O stocks, we will be addressing them at 12:30 p.m. for our Ask PQ show. So do tune in at that time as well and write into us. I'm just going to take a query coming in from Karan Pabrai, and he's asking about SPI for January series. Ashish, how are the charts looking? Would you advise taking any position for the January series on SPI?
So SBI looks good to me. I think it's into a consolidation phase at this juncture, but I think the risk reward is favorable with a stop below 328. I think SBI looks interesting for 350, 355 mark. So I think the risk reward is clearly on the long side of the trade with a stop below 328. Upside 350 is what one can expect.
Okay, well, from there on, let's also take a look at something like a Hero MotoCorp, which has been, well, seeing some weakness of late. Okay, so it's not doing too much, but there has been a little bit of recovery of late, and of course, this open interest is up around 1.5%. Nilesh, anything that stands out for you? Because if I'm not mistaken, we've seen a little bit of a turn for the better, of course, over the last 1 or 2 weeks for Hero MotoCorp after the constant fall that we've seen through the past few months. Anything that stands out for you here?
Well, the structure is not looking that lucrative. It is making high top. It was making a high top, high bottom. Now it is in the consolidation mode. We might see some dip towards 2,400 levels. That is acting as a major support level. If that taken out, then we might see a fall towards 2,350 as well. So at current level, it doesn't look that good. It is better to avoid. I think from auto space, Ashok Leyland is one counter that is looking positive. And on the high side, we might see the levels of 84 to 85. And for the long position, one should keep a strict stop loss below 80, and one can buy Ashok Leyland.
Okay, one can look to buy Ashok Leyland at current levels, but pull up Apollo Hospitals too. That stock's moved higher in today's trade. It's up about 3 to 3.5%. And this one's been volatile, I guess, in the last 7 to 10 trading sessions. So there were days when you were seeing the stock moving lower, but I think there is some buying which is coming at lower levels as well. There you go. Last 7 days now, at least, it's given you good returns of almost 7%. Ashish, with today's move, last 7 days move, would you take a bet here? Can the stock cross the level of 1,500?
Yes, so we are quite positive about this hospital and the diagnostic theme, and I think Apollo Hospital looks quite promising. On upside, 1,550 is a short-term target one can expect in Apollo Hospital. 1,460 would be my trading stop loss in Apollo Hospital. Even in the cash segment, Narayana Rudralaya, which has given a fresh breakout on weekly, monthly chart frame. Here also one can expect stock to see 15 to 18% kind of upside. So maybe 380 to 400 is what one can expect in next 2-3 months time frame in Narayana Rudralaya.
Okay, and before we wrap, just to revisit the market, so we are trading comfortably above the mark of 12,200 for Nifty. Bank Nifty has been defending its support of 32,200. It's trading around the level of 32,200. Let's see if that gets breached or not. But as a theme, what's working out today is clearly the metal space. So be it the steel companies, that's the ferrous or the non-ferrous space. And besides that, commodities overall are in focus because you've also got the cement companies which are doing well. So Tata Steel, Steel Authority is up about 6% in today's trade. And of course, as we highlighted during the show, all the cement players are doing well, be it Ultratech, ACC Ambuja, Ramco Cement, all of them have scaled higher.
Well, there you have it. That's how markets are panning out positively for now. And we have reached the end of the show. So I am going to take a moment to thank both our experts, Ashish and Nilesh, for joining us and taking us through their views on the markets and solving a whole host of viewer queries. Don't forget to log on to BloombergQuint.com, specifically the futures and options pages.
Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the F&O Show. Thanks a lot for watching. It's goodbye from the entire team. Stay tuned to BloombergQuint.